Hello, everyone. Hope you're all well. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I've got a few people logged in already, so welcome, everybody. I'm with you there. Yeah, I'm quite reticent at putting his and hers pictures together on a thumbnail, but that is who we're talking about. But I do feel you. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. So today we're going to be talking about the Eliza Fletcher case, which is, well, it's been a roller coaster of a few days with this case. If you don't know what this case is all about, if you're just coming into this live and you don't know who Eliza Fletcher is, then I'll just give a quick summary before we get into the discussion. But yeah, it's very, very sad. And her body was identified today. So her body was found just after 5 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. And she was identified today. So heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. It really is. But while we've just got a few more people coming in, let's say a few hellos. Hi, Holly, Sonia, Teresa, or Therese, sorry. Vic, hi. Hi, Vic. Gizzy Sue, Sherry. Oh, no, that's a very good comment. Let me put that one on the screen. I'll come back to that very, very shortly. And don't forget to hit the like. Exactly, says Therese. TJ, hello, Bug Love. Hello. She does, doesn't she? Such a great smile. Eliza's smile. It's that kind of smile that would light up a room. Like a big smile from the inside out, like a really genuine smile. Yeah. Hi, Mississippi Girl. Amy. Just started following me a few weeks ago. Love my channel. Thank you. Glitter Witch. Fly on the Wall. Made Alive. Yeah, I've done a few recently. Not done one for a few days. That reminds me, my son is in. So if the internet goes down, because he's got like 1 billion devices on in his room, then I'll be back. I just have to reset the box and then I'll be back. So don't go anywhere. If I go down, don't go anywhere. Seashore Girl. What else have we got? Yeah, that's right. Glitter Witch, I do. This is my second channel. My main channel is called MichelleAfterDark. So most of my true crime content is over there, actually. Hi, Pat, Miss Pumba, JC, Cecile, Carmel, Emily, Leave It I. Who else? Lisa, Technigirl, Prissy, Missy, Dolly, Cook, 13 Doodle, Brandy, Stephen. It ain't the butterfly, it's the Tootsie Roll. Kales. Loads of people. Hi, Angela. Purple AJ. All right, I'm not going to carry on doing the name call. I know some people really, really don't like it. Really don't like the name call, but yeah, it's kind of polite it just kind of gives people a chance to come in before I start the live proper. That's why I do it. So Eliza Fletcher was a 34-year-old teacher. She taught kindergarten. And she was married to a man called Richie with 2 very young sons, very, very young sons who are now going to have to grow up without their mother. And about 4:30 a.m. on Friday, so the Friday just gone, September the 2nd, Eliza was abducted by a man we now believe is someone called Cleotha Abston, who has to be in the contenders high up there for the world's dumbest criminal. And I think this is why he's been caught so fast and why Eliza has been found so fast. In my opinion, it's because Cleotha Abston really was not a very good criminal. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? Because his abduction of Eliza was caught on CCTV. She was running down Central Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee, going for an early morning jog. She was a keen runner, going for an early morning jog before her day started. So an early riser like me. And the dogs are barking outside. As soon as I go live, they go nuts. Yeah, so he was caught on CCTV. He was caught very quickly. And reading the arrest affidavit, it really does read like a nomination for the world's dumbest criminal. It really does. Not only was the abduction caught on CCTV, and they were able to get a partial read on the license plate, he left his shoes at the scene because he was wearing slide sandals, white Champion slide sandals. They came off during the struggle. So the sandals were there at the scene of the abduction, along with Eliza's phone, which presumably she dropped during the struggle. So within a few hours, they were able to get DNA testing started on these sliders. And they came back as a match to someone called Cleotha Abston. So they started to surveil him. And they found out where he lived. They found out his place of work. And yeah, they made their move and they caught him. I don't think it was even 2 days. But Eliza still remained missing. And Cleotha was refusing to talk. But as I said, unfortunately, a body was discovered yesterday and has been confirmed today as being that of Eliza's. So Cleotha left his DNA at the scene of the abduction. It was caught on CCTV. And I've made a few videos about this. I've made a video going through the arrest affidavit. I've made a video going through the case. I've made a video talking about how he was caught. So go back and check those if you haven't seen them. But this guy, the age of 38, has not long since come out of prison. He's done this thing before. He's kidnapped before. When he was a teenager, I believe he was 16, he was part of a team that kidnapped a lawyer from the city of Memphis. And he served 18 years of a 20-year sentence for that crime. So I think he only came out in 2018. And thank you, Janet. Thank you for the $20. I'm not going to put it on the screen just yet because I've got this one on because I want to come on to this. But thank you so much for the $20. That's very, very generous of you. What was I saying? Oh, God, I have no attention span whatsoever. None whatsoever. What was I saying? He was 12, was he? I thought he was 16. I could be wrong. I know he was a minor. Yeah, so this lawyer, he was bundled into the trunk of a car and driven away. And the purpose of the kidnap was financial, that he was stopped at an ATM and made to draw out money. But he's not learned. Cleotha obviously likes the life inside because he hasn't learned. He hasn't learned by his mistakes. And this time he's abducted a young mother who was just innocently out for an early morning jog. Now, this is why I've highlighted Sherry's comment that she says it's a shame that this woman couldn't jog safely no matter what time she happened to jog. And that's absolutely my views as well. And there's the $20 super chat from Janet. Let's talk about that before we get into the press conference. Press conference happened a couple of hours ago now, so it's a replay. So I've had a chance to digest what was said. I've listened to Hey JB. I'm playing this from WFLA now, which is one of my favourite news channels. I like the coverage they do across a wide range of cases. I like JB Bruno. I think he comes out with some really interesting statements. And he shares my view and that the view of Sherry. And a few of you also, I noticed in the comments, agreed as well. That I've been, I wouldn't say upset, but I've been disappointed, let's say, by a lot of comments that I think the vast majority of them are well-meaning. Let me be very, very clear. I don't think people are intentionally blaming Eliza for going out jogging, but I've seen comments like, why was she out jogging at that time in the morning? Why was she out jogging on her own? Why was she wearing that? Why was she wearing that? Because she was wearing running gear, guys. She was wearing a pink running top, running shorts, purple running shorts, and running shoes. Why wouldn't she wear running gear to go running? Thank you so much for the $9.99. Heard on the news that the woman this creep originally kidnapped worked for a law firm. Eliza's uncle. Now, it wasn't a woman, it was a man. It was a man that was the subject of the kidnap before. Kemper Durand, I think his name was. So it was a man. So he's not... unless he's kidnapped another woman that I don't know about, but the person that he kidnapped, that he got sent down for, was definitely a man. Worked for a law firm that Eliza's uncle is an attorney with. Have you any information on that? I've heard that there could be links between Kemper Durand and Eliza's, a family member of Eliza's. But my question would be, so what? Unless this is targeted, unless this was a targeted kidnap, let's say, for example, Cleotha Abston wanted to get his own back for some reason, and he targeted Eliza for some reason. Otherwise, it's not relevant. And I think this was an opportunistic crime. And I'll tell you for why. Because he was wearing sliders. He wasn't wearing appropriate footwear. Now, I never wear appropriate footwear for anything I do. But come on, if you want to kidnap someone, wear shoes that are not going to fall off at the scene. Right? You'd kidnap someone. If you were targeting someone, you wouldn't kidnap them in the middle of it was like the university part of the city. It's like university buildings. There's CCTV all over, parking lot. Just there was CCTV everywhere. You'd catch her at a quiet spot. You wouldn't take her in such an open area, in my opinion. You wouldn't use your own car, and you wouldn't leave the body within half a mile of your brother's house, because by 7 a.m. he was at his brother's house, who incidentally has also been arrested, but not for this. He's been arrested on drug offences and I think having a weapon. He's a felon and he's got a weapon. So he's been arrested separately. But Cleotha went to his brother's house to clean his car and wash his clothes, while Eliza was lying not half a mile away. I think if this was some kind of targeting, if this was some kind of for the family she was, I think it would have been done better. Sharon, I thought there was originally 2 people because the early reports said 2 men. They definitely said 2 men put her in a vehicle. But it seems that there was only one. Only one man's been arrested, and they've not mentioned another man because there was another man arrested. That was his brother, but not for this abduction or this murder, for unrelated charges like drug manufacture, production of fentanyl and heroin, and a weapons charge, having a weapon as a felon. So, yeah, I think if it was targeted or it had been set up by the family, which I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of people say that. If this was a professional hit, or if this was a kidnap based on her as a person, I think it would have been a lot better organised. Law enforcement would have had a problem finding her or finding anything. I think he would have hidden his tracks better. It seems to me, it screams to me like an opportunistic crime by someone who is, quite frankly, 2 slices short of a loaf, as we say around here. That's just my opinion. It may come out later. It may come out later that there was some links or she was targeted for some reason. But we don't know that at the current time. Yeah, Gigi, that's the guy. Kemper Durand, an attorney who passed away 2018. Her uncle was the spokesperson, works at the same law firm as her uncle. This was in 2000 when Cleotha was 16. Yes, those are the details I've heard as well. Oh, okay, got you. I think people are misunderstanding. I don't think, I honestly do not think that Eliza was targeted for any family connections, and I don't think it was a professional hit organised by her husband or anything like that, that things that have been speculated. I considered it, but as soon as I read the arrest warrant, I thought, nah, this is a crime of opportunity, in my opinion. So the uncle worked as the same law firm as the original, so as Kemper Durand, not of Eliza. So, right. So hopefully we can concentrate on what is important in this case, and that is Eliza and the man who has now been charged with first-degree murder of taking her life. So I hope we can concentrate on the facts that we know. And if something comes out at a later date, well, yeah, we can then talk about it. But I honestly think this was a crime of opportunity, and I think the family are completely innocent. Thank you, Janet. That's very kind of you for the $10. Recently spent a weekend in Memphis and learned that crime is really high in that area. We saw sketchy behaviour everywhere, and locals told us to be careful everywhere we go. Thanks for the great content. Yeah, I've heard the same. I've heard that Memphis isn't a very nice place. However, circling back to what I was saying about jogging, you know, I understand that people are well-meaning when they say she shouldn't have gone running on her own. She shouldn't have gone running at that time in the morning. However, why shouldn't she? Why the hell shouldn't she? You know, because there's risks with everything we do, right? Are we never going to cross a road ever again in case we get run over? Are we never going to turn on an appliance because we might get electrocuted? You know, living your life in fear is, in my opinion, is not living a life. And I understand that some people have got phobias and so on and so forth, and PTSD and all of that, and that's understandable. If that's you, then that's understandable. But just generally speaking, thank you, Annabella, from the area. The crime rate here is terrible. We rank #1 for most dangerous city in the nation. Wow. I didn't realize Memphis had such a horrible accolade. But you would think that 4:30 in the morning down a well-lit street with CCTV cameras all around you, that you would feel fairly safe, and it wasn't too far away from her home, that you wouldn't feel too unsafe. But why the hell shouldn't she go running at a time when she wants to go running, a time when she's able to fit it into her schedule? And, you know, thousands of people, millions of people go jogging or walking or cycling on their own, and they don't get abducted. And even if you're living in an unsafe part of town or an unsafe city, then the precautions that you might take are things that Eliza might have thought of. That, you know, well-lit streets, stick to well-lit streets. And quite frankly, this was highly unusual, and I think that's why a lot of media have jumped on it, and a lot of YouTubers have jumped on it, trying to find an explanation, and then making the assumption that the family must be involved, or it's a professional hit, or because she's got a rich granddad. You know, her granddad was the billionaire Joseph Orgill, who was apparently a well-known businessman in the area. He's dead now, and his vast estate has been shared out amongst his daughters. He's got 4 daughters, 9 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. And yeah, the family's very wealthy, which is another reason why I think this was a crime of opportunity, because if the kidnapper had have known that Eliza was so well connected, surely there would have been more care taken with the kidnap. They would have held her rather than killed her and wanted a ransom. So there's that. That's just my thinking. Jean, apparently the city of Memphis is very high in crime, but that area, like Central Avenue, is built up. It's well lit, cameras everywhere. There's university buildings on both sides. You know, just go to Central Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, and drop your little man down on the street and look at the street view. And there's buildings, university buildings. They are going to be very well, you know, security with CCTV. And indeed it was. It was, you know, so I think Eliza perhaps chose that route because she felt it was safe. You know, I go out all hours and I get people commenting to me, you know, Michelle, you know, you're going out on your own. I hope you carry a weapon, Michelle. And I know everybody's being well-meaning, but I don't think about things like that. I don't live my life thinking if, what's, buts and maybes, right? You know, if someone attacks me, well, someone attacks me. They'll think again. They'll have a shot. But anyway, you know, it's we all take risks in life, whether we know it or not. And perhaps Eliza, you know, one of her joys in life was running. She was an avid runner, and perhaps she liked running on her own in the early morning. And I really don't think that this should be a talking point, especially when it turns into victim blaming. Now, as I said, the majority of comments that I've seen, I think, are well-meaning, but things like, well, what was she wearing? And why did her husband let her go out wearing that? She's going out wearing running gear. You know, it's ridiculous. The only person to blame here is the man that's been arrested, and that is Cleotha Abston. He's been arrested and charged with first-degree murder, aggravated kidnap, and a bunch of other things to do with identity theft and credit card fraud. This man is a bad apple. He's bad through and through. He's the one that you should be directing your anger at, not Eliza or her family. Thank you so much, Sasha, for the 20 Canadian dollars. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. I think we sometimes, in the true crime community, I think we too often jump and think that the family's involved, and we don't wait for the facts. Anyway, shall we play this press conference? Let's play this press conference. Now, as I said, it happened a couple of hours ago, so this isn't live. I watched it when it was live, and I've had a couple of hours to think about it, and then so I decided to just come and do a discussion. Memphis is 70% low-life thugs. Well, Cleotha Abston is clearly one of those. Clearly one of those. Anyway, let's play this press conference. I'll let it play through. It's not a long conference. It's not long. And then they kind of wrap it up and go in, and then they kind of catch them on the steps and ask a few more questions. So we'll watch that little interchange as well. All right, so I'm going to mute myself, and I will be monitoring the chat. I'll be able to see the chat. We don't know. I think you mean sexually assaulted. We don't know. That has not been disclosed at this moment in time. We don't know whether it was purely financial or what. You know, it was some kind of robbery went wrong. We don't know that at the time. Exactly. Thank you so much for saying that. Stop judging the victim. Yeah, let's wait for the facts. And I'd say the same about the victim's family as well. Let's wait for the facts. Let's not just assume that such a body twitched in a certain way and such a body didn't look upset enough. And, you know, I don't like it, guy. I really don't like it. I really don't like it. Simple as that. You know, yes, if facts come up, if it becomes evident that there's an issue here, a real issue with the family, then yes, absolutely. But until we know any facts at all about the case, let's not start judging. Let's do that. Let's do better at that. And I'd say that to everybody. I'd say that to creators, and I'd say that to just everybody observing, watching, an audience member, people commenting on newspaper articles or on Twitter. Let's just do a bit better with that. Let's just hang fire. Let's observe. Let's watch. Let's take everything in. But then when the facts start to emerge, then let's discuss what those facts actually mean. Right. Without further ado, I'm going to mute out and play this press conference. As I said, it's not lengthy. Some of you might have already seen it. But if not, then here it is coming up. Let me just mute out. If there's an echo or anything like that, just let me know and I'll just go out and come back in, and that generally stops it. Just give me a thumbs up that the sound's okay. All right.
Good. All right. I think we're ready. Good morning. Today is a very sad day in the city of Memphis. First, I'd like to express our sincere condolences to the family, friends, and numerous others who have been impacted by the tragic and heinous kidnapping of Eliza Fletcher. Yesterday evening, September 5th, at approximately 5:07 p.m., the Memphis Police Department and other law enforcement partners discovered the remains of a human body, in the rear of a vacant duplex apartment at the 1600 block of Victor Street. At that time, it was believed the unidentified body could possibly be the remains of kidnapping victim Eliza Fletcher. Further forensic investigation by the MPD traffic unit positively identified the body was, in fact, Eliza Fletcher. This finding marked the culmination of a 4-day intensive investigation incorporating a robust search and rescue effort and the timely arrest of suspect Cleotha Abston on September 3rd, the day following the kidnapping. Cleotha Abston has been charged by MPD homicide investigators with the following state charges: first-degree murder and perpetration of kidnapping, especially aggravated kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. In addition, Abston has been charged with the following unrelated offenses: identity theft, theft of property, and credit card fraud. While the outcome of this investigation is not what we hoped for, we are nonetheless pleased to remove this dangerous predator off the streets of Memphis. I'd like to personally thank the professional and highly skilled men and women of the Memphis Homicide Unit, the Memphis Police Department, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney General's Office, Homeland Security, the ATF, and the University of Memphis Police Department for your relentless efforts and many contributions toward this investigation. The collaboration and cooperation amongst all of our partner agencies was nothing less than symphonic. We are also very grateful for the hundreds of tips that came through our Crime Stoppers and other platforms from our citizens at large. Our engaged and supportive community is truly our most valued asset. Just remember that this still is an ongoing investigation. At this time, I would like to bring up FBI Special Agent in Charge, Doug Korneski.
Good morning. First and foremost, on behalf of the FBI, I want to extend the extreme sympathy and condolences of our office to the family and friends of Eliza. While most of us did not know her prior to this tragedy, through the course of the recent investigation, we got a small glimmer into the light that she was to her family and friends and community. Next, I just want to commend the immense collaborative efforts of the local, state, and federal law enforcement during this investigation. As the family knows, every possible resource that we had as a law enforcement community, to include the FBI, was brought to bear to both find Eliza and her perpetrator and hold him accountable. And as simply last, I just want to thank the community for their support during this investigation, the many tips and leads that we received. We are a member of this community as well, and this situation, this tragedy impacts us deeply as well. So with that, I just again want to thank the community. Next, I'll be followed by the Acting Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Ollie Roberts from ATF.
First, on behalf of ATF, I'd like to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends affected by this tragedy. No resources were spared to locate and arrest the individual responsible for this incomprehensible violent crime. ATF utilized resources such as assigning special agents, our canine, and utilizing the E-Trace database. We also utilize our expertise as we work with our state and local partners to bring about justice to the family and friends in reference to this tragedy. I would like to bring next up U.S. Marshal Tyrese Miller.
Thank you. Good afternoon. On behalf of the United States Marshal Service, we certainly want to extend our sincere condolences to the family of Eliza Fletcher, her friends and family, and those that knew her. As I understand it, she touched many lives, and it's certainly a loss. As I've said on numerous occasions, the Marshal Service has a very unique relationship with the Memphis Police Department. At any time they call, we're there to assist. We were glad to receive that call on Saturday when a suspect had been identified. We then went about finding the suspect vehicle in question, as well as the suspect himself. He was spotted, the vehicle was spotted in an apartment complex, and we also conducted surveillance on him. And then when he tried to make a move, we went in and made the arrest safely, and took him into custody and turned him over to the custody of the Memphis Police Department. And after that, we also participated in the search efforts to find Ms. Fletcher all day Sunday and all day Monday. And as has been stated, it was not the outcome we were looking for. We were dedicated and committed to continue those search efforts and assist our partners until she was found. Next, I will turn it over to District Attorney General Steve Morrow.
Thank you. Good morning. I also want to add my condolences and the condolences of my office to the family of Eliza Fletcher. To lose someone so young and so vital is a tragedy in and of itself, but to have it happen in this way with a senseless act of violence, it's unimaginable. And we express our deepest condolences. We're praying for them. I'm praying for Eliza, and I'm praying for the family. With respect to the family, both law enforcement and our office was in contact with the family throughout this long weekend. They have been fully cooperative throughout that entire process, and in contrast to whatever baseless speculation you might have seen, we have no reason to think this was anything other than an isolated attack by a stranger. With respect to the family, we were in touch with them, as I said, throughout the course of the weekend. I visited with the family personally over the weekend. I also visited them this morning when we had terrible news to deliver to them. And I have a message from the family that I want to express to all of you, the public, but also the media. Please respect their privacy. Please allow them to grieve. At an appropriate time, they will be making a statement. I believe a written statement will be forthcoming, but we really do ask that you avoid intrusive questioning and respect their privacy. I also want to take this opportunity to commend all of law enforcement, the people behind me and all the agencies they represent. I had the opportunity to go to the command center over the course of the weekend, and I saw with my own eyes the seamless cooperation among all of them. Chief Davis referred to it a moment ago as symphonic. I think that's an entirely appropriate adjective. I watched myself how they cooperated, and I was very impressed with the speed with which they developed leads, the speed with which they turned around test results, the diligence with which they coordinated the search efforts. They're all to be commended. As for our office, the defendant was arraigned this morning on charges of kidnapping and tampering with evidence. He'll be arraigned tomorrow morning on new charges that we now have to bring of first-degree murder, premeditated murder, murder in the course of perpetration of a kidnapping. Any kind of violence, of course, is unacceptable, but repeat violent offenders particularly deserve a strong response, and that's what they'll get from this district attorney's office. We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement and work closely with them, as we already have, so that we can do our best to bring justice to this tragic situation. And I'll end there. I'll note that because this is still an ongoing investigation and a pending case, and I, as a prosecutor, have certain legal limits on what I can say. There are probably limits to what kind of questions that I can answer or that can be answered by anybody. But I'll just end there. Thank you.
This question is for anyone in law enforcement. Do you know a manner of death? A, and B, was she killed in the vehicle?
It's too early for us to determine place and method of death at this point.
Chief, can you describe the suspect initially, according to the affidavit, was not being cooperative with authorities? Did the suspect ultimately help you find this victim?
At this time, I can't respond. We are still working with that suspect, but at this time, we have not gotten very much information from that individual.
Can you describe how Ms. Fletcher ended up?
Say that again.
May anyone else be charged or involved?
It's still early on. We're still uncovering various leads. This is an ongoing investigation. That's a possibility. But at this time, no one else has been charged.
Can you describe how Ms. Fletcher ended up in the Dominican duplex?
We really don't know at this particular time. We worked together to identify various locations, and that was our search concentration. And we're just blessed that we were able to identify this location, and our officers were successful in finding her.
So it was a part of the search.
All right, thank y'all for the questions. That's all the information that we have right now. You can send them to the PIO's office if you have any additional questions, and we'll address them there. Thank you.
University of Memphis.
There is a little bit more. The reporters actually catch the DA as he's going into the building. So I'll find that timestamp in a second and we'll play that as well. I just want to answer a couple of questions before we do so. There's a few people asked whether she was sexually assaulted or not. We don't know yet. That hasn't been disclosed, whether this was purely something for, a robbery or something like that went wrong. We don't know. We don't know. Obviously, the manner of death, when that is declared, will be homicide, given that this is a murder investigation, given that Cleotha Abston has been charged with first-degree murder, then I think we know the answer to the manner of death. That's going to be homicide. But the actual cause of death, how she died, or anything that happened, up to her death is unknown at this moment in time. But I'm sure that those answers will come. Exactly, Connie. Yeah, it must have been horrible. Absolutely horrible, heartbreaking. And her body was dumped. It was close to some woods, but it was actually in a yard of an unoccupied property. So we don't know anything about why he chose to dump her body there. It was within half a mile of his brother's home. We do know where he was living, but I think he was just staying wherever he could. There was a question earlier on. I probably can't find it now in the chat, but where was he living? There is an address. I've just got the arrest warrant here. There is an address on this, but the address was a woman's address. Now, whether that was his partner or whether that was his, I'll just read you this. So on September 3rd, 2022, at approximately 10:45 a.m., the 2013 GMC Terrain with license plate BDX 7952 was located by members of the U.S. Marshal Service Two Rivers Violent Fugitive Task Force. That's a long-winded title. The vehicle was backed into a parking lot in the parking lot area of 5700 block of Waterstone Oak Way, and that was in Memphis, and was confirmed to be the vehicle by the license plate number and by noticeable damage to the rear passenger side tail light, which had been spotted on the CCTV. And I think the vehicle was registered to someone living at that property. I'm just looking back here. Okay, so the location is active utilities in the name of Gwendolyn Brown. Researching law enforcement databases revealed that Gwendolyn Brown has the vehicle that he used. It's registered to her and was listed at the address of 5700 block of Waterstone Oak Way. So he was living there. So whether that was his partner, girlfriend, or whether he was just staying there, but he was using her vehicle, and he was using her vehicle for work. His employer clarified that he was actually using that vehicle for work. So they've got him banged to rights. They've got so much evidence against him. I think they've got their man, to be honest. The fact that he left his sliders at the scene with DNA on them next to her phone, I mean, it's just crazy. Just such a such a poor criminal. And thankfully so, because you know, they've managed to catch him so quickly. That's right. Yeah, Victor Street. Yeah. 1600 block of Victor Street in Memphis. Yeah. But it was an unoccupied property that she was found on. So why he chose to dump her body there? Maybe he knew it was empty. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know those answers at this moment in time. Okay, so I'm going to just, it's just a couple of minutes of commentary. Here we go. As he's going in, he answers some questions as he's going in. So I'm going to mute out again, and we're just going to listen to this, because this is interesting that the DA continued to, like the press officer said, that's enough, that's it. And then the DA continued to answer questions as he was going in. Anyway, I'm going to mute out again and just play this little segment here.
Conference where it was the announcement, of course, confirming what we had already been told on Twitter by the Memphis Police Department's Twitter account, that this was the remains that were found Monday evening, overnight, were confirmed to be that of Eliza Fletcher, the abducted jogger who went missing on Friday, abducted by an individual driving an SUV. All of it caught on video, and they now have that man in custody, they say, according to law enforcement. Wait, we have another feed. Let's go back to this. Hold on.
Can you tell us why this case, and there's national here, why so fast on this case, and there's other people who are still missing, and they've been missing for months and even weeks at a time, but she's been found in days?
Yeah, well, you know, this was a particular situation in which we had every reason to believe that, you know, if we moved quickly, we might be able to save the victim. And I think that was why we acted with the rapidity that we did. And I think that the law enforcement should be commended for being able to act that quickly.
Any idea on the motive?
No, we don't have any further information about that.
Any indication that he tracked her beforehand, or is that the first time he laid eyes on her?
We don't really have any information one way or another on that.
What's your message to the body?
No, that's not something we can go into.
What do you want people who live in that neighborhood to know?
Well, look, both law enforcement and the DA's office, right, have as their absolute number one priority keeping people safe. And tragedies like this are going to happen, but we're going to be doing everything we can to make sure that people can walk the streets without looking over the shoulder and going about their daily business without fear. And that's what we're going to do, and we'll roll up our sleeves and make sure we can do everything we can.
Less than a week as the Shelby County District Attorney.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a big case. What are you going to do to send a message?
Well, I mean, the message that we're doing is what we're sending right now, which is that public safety is our absolute number one priority. We're going to take repeat violent offenders situations very seriously. Repeat violent offender situations deserve a strong response. That's the kind of response we're going to get from the DA's office. And that is the message that everyone is to take, and they'll see that in the actions that we take in the coming weeks and months.
This was an exhaustive search. It's been described as an exhaustive search. Was the intensity of this search, was that standard for missing person?
I don't think we did.
It was an exhaustive search, and during it there was another missing person in Memphis, and some of the resources of this search went to try to find that person. Luckily, that person was safe. And found that, we had a missing woman, and everybody banded together. They didn't sleep. They didn't stop trying to find her.
Is this going to be the same kind of energy that you guys are going to have moving forward when others are missing as well, to try to find them within days instead of weeks and months?
Is this the same kind of effort?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we can expect that same kind of effort. Yeah. All right, I think that's it for now. I'm going to take care of it.
Good go. Some questions about other missing persons cases in the Memphis.
I thought that was a really interesting exchange. Honestly, I really did. However, right, the comment that I put on screen just a second ago, which I probably, oh, there we go, Donna. I think that's why they caught him quickly. I don't think there's any big surprise that they were able to catch him quickly. Now, I do understand the comment, and there was a comment, because I made the same comment in a video. You know, she comes from a rich family. She's an heiress, a family that's very well known in the area. I made that very same comment that law enforcement are going to dot the I's and cross the T's with this one because the family is well known. However, I think the fact that he was caught so fast and Eliza was found so fast wasn't that she was an heiress. Thank you so much for the $2 super sticker there. Thank you, Jennifer. Very kind of you. If he'd have been a better criminal, if he'd have covered his tracks, not left his DNA at the scene, like, you know, on his sliders, he'd wore appropriate footwear and he'd hidden her well, they would still be looking, and it wouldn't matter that she was an heiress. It wouldn't matter that her grandpa was a billionaire, billion with a B, not a millionaire, a billionaire. Wouldn't have mattered. Law enforcement can only do what law enforcement can do. So the fact that he was a really dumb criminal, just, it all fell into their lap. I mean, you can just, you know, you read the arrest warrant and it is available online. You know, you can just look at it and think, oh my gosh, if all crimes were committed like that, like crimes would be solved within a week, within less than a week, because he was so dumb. He was so dumb. You know, he used a car that he's been using, that everybody knows that he uses. He parked it outside the residence that he was staying at. He left his DNA via his shoes at the scene. He left her phone at the scene. He also took his phone and that pinged at the scene, his own phone. Didn't even bother trying to disguise the fact that he had a phone. And that pinged at the scene. The scene was caught on CCTV. All they had to do was follow that vehicle. Well, maybe. I mean, there are certain cases that hit media attention. There are, and I understand what you're saying. There are certain cases that just garner media attention, and I think the fact that she was an heiress has been part of that. It's created a discussion point for both mainstream media and for social media. The fact that, yeah, flip-flops, yeah, sliders, yeah. The fact that she has this kind of interesting backstory, where there's a backstory, where the media can create a story about it, or social media, YouTubers can create a narrative to discuss above and beyond the actual missing person, that is going to get more attention than somebody who doesn't have that interesting backstory. So there is that element to it, right? So I get what you're saying, and I'm not naive. I understand that there are very, very many crimes that don't get reported by the media, where the criminal is caught very quickly and it's all wrapped up very quickly and they don't get any attention in the media. I understand that. But in this case, it's not because she was an heiress that he got caught. That's the point I'm making. It's the fact that he was sloppy. The fact that he was a really rubbish criminal. That's what got him caught. Because if he didn't leave any tracks, if he didn't have DNA at the abduction scene, if he wasn't caught on CCTV, if he used a vehicle that has no links to him, if he had hidden Eliza's body well, took her miles away, hadn't gone to his brother's house to wash his clothes, all of these things add up to a really easy investigation for law enforcement. He made it very, very easy for them. And if I'd have been the DA, I would have said that. I would have said, because he was a really dumb criminal. And yes, we do try to put all our resources into every missing persons case, every crime. However, not all of them end up with a really dumb criminal who we're able to catch within 2 days because he was such a rubbish criminal and he did not cover his tracks. That's my point. But yeah, you're absolutely right, whoever made that comment, that there are many, many cases that either get solved or just don't get solved and become cold cases that never get any media attention whatsoever. Right? I get that. I really get that. I do. And that's a shame. It's a shame that only certain cases hit the media. They have that interest, that they have that public interest thing that grips people. Right. And in this case, it was because she's got this interest in family history. In other cases, it's because the parents come out and create a spectacle, like in the Summer Wells case. You know, Don Wells on the YouTube every night creating a spectacle, ended up, you know, getting so famous he went on Dr. Phil. You know, there's certain things. And then you get other cases where very similar circumstances that a crime's occurred or, the age of the victim or the way they've gone missing, very similar, but don't get the same media attention because there isn't that interest, there isn't that focus beyond the actual crime itself. So yeah, that is an issue. It is an issue. But the way he got caught and how Eliza's been found so quickly is because he was a very bad criminal. Right? It is. It absolutely is. You're absolutely right. It's impossible to cover all crime. I mean, I cover quite a wide range of cases, but you know, in the general scheme of things, I'm only covering a very small fraction of the crime that's out there. But there's no way in the world I could cover every single missing persons case. I could put a poster up every time I do a video. I could put a different poster up, but it wouldn't be a deep dive. It would simply be putting a poster up. And, you know, that's great. That's great for raising awareness, but I can do that on Twitter. You know, that's what I use Twitter for mainly. Is just, you know, retweeting missing persons posters and things like that. That's what I do on Twitter. Or if I want some, you know, the latest information, I'll go on, put in a hashtag and click latest. And, you know, so the interesting things on Twitter. But no, there's no way in the world that the media could cover every missing person or could cover every murder or every sexual assault. There's no way they could. They'd do nothing else. And it's the same with social media. We'd do nothing else other than putting missing persons posters up. There'd be no opportunity to do any deep dives on any cases. You know, exactly. Never sleep, Sharon. Exactly. Never sleep. It'd be one constant, like 24-hour live stream, like forever. There'd be no let up. So the media chooses cases. Social media chooses cases. Sometimes social media will choose a case and it gets big on social media and the mainstream media hasn't hardly heard of it. Right. But, you know, it's interesting. And I think it's because there's an interest, there's something outside of the victim, outside of that person being missing or that person being abducted. It's something that grips the audience and the creator. And in this case, in Eliza's case, it was her family history, the fact that her granddaddy was a billionaire businessman who apparently was really kind and did a lot for charity, did a lot for the poor, put a lot of money into the local area, into organizations, you know, so there's that kind of level of interest. Her children are very young. I've got a couple of photographs of her children. I've actually brought my rule and put a picture of them in one of my videos. I only put it on for a few seconds, but it was a really nice picture. It was on her social media. It had been shared in the mainstream media of her husband, Richie, and the two boys. They got married in 2014, so 8 years ago. And the boys definitely look younger than 8. I would probably say, if that's a recent photo, I'd say probably one looked about 5 and maybe one looked about 3 or 4, maybe 6 and 4, something like that. So very young children. So absolutely appalling. that this has been done. Yes, they do. They do indeed. They do indeed. That's how they've caught him. That's how they knew who he was. Because his DNA was on the sliders, the champion sliders that he dropped at the scene that fell off in the struggle. And the DNA tested it, TBI DNA tested it, and it came back to a match to the CODIS database. So law enforcement, the database of DNA is called CODIS, and it was a match. So they knew exactly who they were looking for. That's why one of my videos on this channel, I put, let me just get the, oh no, that's MichelleAfterDark. I'll have to do it the other way. To my channel. Can you still see that? No, you can't. I'm not sharing. There we go. This video here. Abductor of Eliza Fletcher caught by a sandal. I mean, when I read the arrest warrant, I just thought that is insane. The fact that he was wearing flip-flops. You know, that convinced me that this was a crime of opportunity rather than we don't know what the motive was. We don't know at this moment in time, Cara. He's not talking. He's in custody, but he's not talking. So we don't know. He's got related charges. So first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping. He's also been charged with identity theft and credit card fraud. Now, we could speculate that he's tried to use her card, and those charges are related to Eliza. Or it could be that he's just been caught for something else, and that's not related to Eliza. So we don't know whether there's financial motive. We don't know whether it's a sexual assault. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Yeah, we will. We will. The cause of death, the specifics will come out at autopsy. And yeah, maybe that's all it is, that this guy, he's just a bad apple through and through. Just a bad apple through and through. Robbery gone wrong, sexual assault that has resulted in him murdering her. It's just horrible. Horrible, so senseless, needless. Took a mother away from her sons. And hopefully he goes down for life. Hopefully he goes down for life. Somebody asked in the chat if Tennessee is a death penalty state. Yes, it is. It is a death penalty state. However, they haven't executed anyone recently. I think there's a hold on executions. There's like 40 people, I think. Let me just double check. I looked it up. Prisoners on death row. Let's see. Okay. I know you can't see this, but I'm only just going to read it to you. Tennessee has 47 individuals on death row, all in Nashville. 46 are men at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution, and one woman who's called Krista Pike at the Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center, a women's prison in Bordeaux. So there's 47 individuals currently on death row, but they've been they've not executed anybody for ages. So there's a waiting list. There's a waiting list. So I don't know whether there is. Okay, I read that. I read that. I did read that. Yeah, that they've put executions on hold because the drugs given is so expensive because they use the lethal injection. I'm sure there's other ways that they could dispose of those people. There are a couple of states in which hanging is still an acceptable way of executing, and that's just the price of a rope. You know, so there is that. We can maybe say hanging's unethical, but yeah. but hopefully he goes away, whether he ends up dead, executed, or whether he just spends the rest of his life behind bars. At least he's not out there and, you know, a threat, a danger to other people. Well, yeah, there is that. There is that. And there is that. Yeah, they'd probably complain about the electricity bill, though, with old Sparky. You know. But, it's just so sad. It's just so sad. Really, really sad. Really sad. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day here. Oof. Oh, that is harsh. Public stoning. Oh, that is harsh. Exactly, Python. Exactly. Rope is reusable. Yeah. Reusable. And very cheap. Yes. It's recyclable materials. So maybe you'll face the death penalty. I hope so. I hope so. But at the very least, he's going to be behind bars forever. I think they've got him. I think they've got the right man. I think that they've got all their ducks in a row very quickly because he gave them all the ducks. He gave them all the ducks. All they had to do was just line them up. He gave them all the ducks. So very, very easy. You know, investigation, not taking anything away from law enforcement. You know, they put the ducks in a row. He gave them the ducks, they put him in a row. So yeah, if only every other abduction, kidnapping, murder case was so easy to solve. It would be it'd be a better world, be a safer world. Because anybody who thought about committing a crime, they're straight to jail without passing go, collecting $200, straight to jail, and keep them there. Keep them there. Oh, got some chows, like chow dogs. Chow dogs, big fluffy dogs, aren't they? Them. It's very sad, Angela. It really is. Incredibly sad. Very sad. Yeah. Oh. He gave them the ducks. He absolutely gave them the ducks. Gave them the ducks. Yeah, not all dogs. Not all dogs are good guard dogs, though, to be honest. But I think having a dog with you, I think it deters criminals. It deters most of them anyway. But yeah, she should have been, you know, she should have felt perfectly safe going for a run early in the morning. I mean, I tell you what, I feel that time in the morning is the most peaceful. I mean, it's a long time, to be fair. It's a long time since I've been out at 4:30. But I've definitely been out at 5:30 in the very recent past. And it's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It's kind of like you're seeing the world before the rest of the world awakes, to be a little bit poetic about it. It's very peaceful. I mean, to be honest with you, I'll leave this as my final thought. This very channel that we're speaking on now was started in the spring of 2018. And I used to walk to the train station. So it was 3 miles from my house into town to get on the train to go to work. And quite often I would walk it. If it was, you know, if it was pouring down with rain, I'd get the bus. But I would walk it 3 miles and I'd set off about 5 o'clock in the morning. And it was dark, pitch dark. Like I'd walk down the main road, but until you actually get into town, it's dark. And I just thought it was very peaceful. You saw hardly any cars. It was peaceful. And I used to listen to YouTube in my ears. And I always had things to think about and things to say. And I thought, I want to comment. I want to respond. I want to actually talk about this. And that's why I set up a channel, because I wanted to just talk about stuff that interested me, talk about stuff that was in the news, talk about stuff that I saw on YouTube. And that's how I started my channel. I knew nothing about editing. I just used to talk into my phone. And slowly but surely people started to watch. And I had no direction. I had no purpose to the channel at all for ages. And I just used to talk. And those very, very early videos are no longer on the channel, but they just set me up. They set me up my channel. They got me my first 100 subscribers, just talking about stuff that interested me. And it was all done in the almost in the dark. You could hardly see me. And by the time I got into town, it was starting to come light. And very peaceful time in the morning. So I can understand people who want to go out and run and walk and cycle at that time in the morning, because it's very peaceful. And it's such a shame that, bad people are out there. Evil is in the world. Evil is in the world, regardless of what time you choose to go out for a jog or go out for a walk or just go out. Evil is out there. And unfortunately, Eliza has encountered evil, and she's lost her life to evil. Completely senseless, needless attack. But we cannot live our lives being scared. That's my view. We cannot live our lives being scared. It's about the system. The system needs to change, rather than people who are just going about their lives doing what gives them joy. That shouldn't change. It's the system that needs to change, in my opinion. And I'm really pleased that JB Buno shared my thoughts on that. So I've left a link to the WFLA stream that includes the press conference that we listened to together, but listen to JB's comments before and after the press conference. He made some really good comments. He really kind of dug deep in answering some of the viewers' questions. So I'd strongly recommend it. The link is in the description box if you would choose to go and watch that. Oh, wow. Where was that? It was held at gunpoint in a bank at 11 o'clock in the day. Yeah, exactly. You could be just going about your daily life, and you could you could encounter evil anywhere. You can't live your life being scared of evil. You really can't. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll see you as usual tomorrow for the video that will come out on Michelle After Dark at some point tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Thank you so much for the super chats and the super stickers. Thank you, Trixie Star, for modding. I noticed you came in and you've been posting links and doing stuff. So thank you so much for that. And I'll see you all very soon. Bye, guys.